Rob Halford just dropped his take on AC/DC versus Motörhead, and metal fans are not ready for what the metal god had to say. Rob Halford stands at the crossroads of heavy metal history, and when the legendary frontman of Judas Priest weighs in on a clash of titans like AC/DC and Motörhead, the entire rock world leans in closer. This is not just a casual opinion tossed into the void of the internet. This is the metal god himself, the voice that helped define the sound, the look, and the attitude of heavy metal, reflecting on two of the most thunderous forces ever to shake arenas and rattle amplifiers to their breaking point. The question seems simple on the surface: AC/DC or Motörhead? But beneath it lies decades of sweat-soaked stages, blown speakers, whiskey-drenched dressing rooms, and riffs that carved permanent scars into the history of rock. Rob Halford has always spoken with a rare combination of reverence and authority. As the unmistakable voice behind Judas Priest, he witnessed the parallel rise of these giants from the inside. He saw how AC/DC turned bluesy hard rock into a stadium-conquering juggernaut powered by razor-sharp riffs and primal hooks. He also saw how Motörhead ripped through the rulebook, fusing punk velocity with metal ferocity, led by the immortal snarl of Lemmy Kilmister. For Halford, this is not about picking a favorite like a fan arguing in a comment section. It is about understanding the DNA of heavy music and recognizing how each band injected something vital into its bloodstream. When Halford speaks about AC/DC, you can hear the admiration in his tone. He recognizes the genius of simplicity, the unstoppable groove crafted by Angus Young's electric swagger and Malcolm Young's granite-solid rhythm work. AC/DC songs do not hide behind complexity. They hit you straight in the chest with riffs that feel eternal. From the explosive arrival of Bon Scott to the era-defining dominance of Brian Johnson, the AC/DC mastered the art of writing anthems that feel both dangerous and celebratory. ACY respects that discipline, that commitment to a sound so pure and focused that it became instantly recognizable within a single chord. Yet when the conversation turns to Motörhead, something else ignites. Motörhead never aimed for polish. They aimed for impact. Lemmy's gravel-torn voice and distorted bass were like a war siren announcing chaos. Songs such as Ace of Spades became battle cries for outsiders who wanted their music louder, faster, and dirtier than anything on mainstream radio. Halford understands that spirit deeply, because Judas Priest also pushed boundaries, also chased speed and intensity when others were still flirting with safe parameters. Motörhead felt like a detonator strapped to the side of rock and roll, and once it exploded, there was no going back. The beauty of Halford's perspective lies in his refusal to reduce this to a shallow comparison. AC/DC and Motörhead are not rivals in a sporting event. They are pillars holding up different wings of the same cathedral of sound. AC/DC embodies groove-driven swagger, the hypnotic stomp that makes entire stadiums move as one organism. Motörhead embodies relentless momentum, the adrenaline rush that leaves you breathless and craving more. Halford sees both as essential, as complementary forces that expanded the possibilities of what heavy music could be. He often reflects on the brotherhood that exists within the rock community. Touring, festivals, backstage encounters, these moments blur the lines between bands. Halford crossed paths with members of AC/DC and Motörhead countless times over the decades. He witnessed the professionalism of AC/DC, the meticulous attention to performance that kept their shows razor-tight, night after night. He also witnessed the raw authenticity of Motörhead, a band that lived and breathed the very chaos they unleashed. On stage, to Halford, both approaches command respect, because both require total commitment. What makes this debate magnetic for fans is the emotional weight attached to each name. AC/DC represents triumph, resilience, and the ability to overcome tragedy while continuing to dominate. Motörhead represents rebellion without compromise, the refusal to soften edges for commercial comfort. Halford stands in a unique position because Judas Priest shares elements with both. The precision and melodic power align with AC/DC's craftsmanship, while the speed and aggression echo Motörhead's ferocity. In many ways, Halford himself bridges that divide. As he navigates this comparison, Halford often emphasizes influence rather than competition. AC/DC influenced countless bands with their stripped-down riff architecture and thunderous rhythm section. Motörhead influenced generations with their breakneck tempos and unapologetic volume. Without a CDC, the blueprint for arena rock metal might look very different. Without Motörhead, the evolution of speed, metal, and thrash might have taken another path entirely. Halford recognizes that history is not a single-lane highway. It is a network of intersecting roads, and both of these bands paved crucial stretches. There is also the matter of stage presence. AC/DC's visual identity, from Angus Young's schoolboy uniform to the towering walls of amplifiers, created an instantly iconic image. Motörhead's aesthetic was darker, grittier, anchored by Lemmy's unmistakable silhouette beneath his cowboy hat. Halford appreciates the theatrical power of imagery, because Judas Priest also embraced leather, studs, and a commanding visual style. He understands that heavy music is not only heard but seen and felt. AC/DC delivered spectacle with precision. Motörhead delivered intensity with raw honesty. For viewers watching a video built around this debate, the tension lies in anticipation. Will Halford choose one side definitively, or will he elevate both? The intrigue keeps audiences hooked because it is not merely about preference. It is about legacy. When a figure of Halford's stature speaks, he does so with decades of lived experience. His words carry the weight of sold-out tours, platinum records, and battles fought on the front lines of metal's evolution. Every sentence feels like a page torn from rock history itself. In the end. Part 1 of this exploration sets the stage for something deeper than a simple versus question. It reveals how Rob Halford views heavy music as a shared triumph rather than a battlefield. AC/DC and Motörhead each carved their names into the stone of rock immortality, and Halford stands as a witness to that carving. The real power of his perspective is that it invites fans to appreciate the richness of both legacies instead of reducing them to a scoreboard. And that is where the story truly begins to intensify. Halford does not approach the AC/DC or Motörhead conversation as a casual observer scrolling through memories. He approaches it as a survivor of the same storms. A vocalist who pushed his range to operatic heights while amplifiers roared like jet engines behind him. When he reflects on AC/DC, he often speaks about durability. Decade after decade, album after album, they maintained a sonic identity so strong that even lineup changes could not fracture it. That kind of consistency is rare. It requires discipline, unity, and an unshakable belief in the power of the riff. Halford admires that resilience because Judas Priest endured its own trials and reinventions while keeping the flame alive. With Motörhead, the admiration carries a different texture. It is about fearlessness. Motörhead never chased trends. They bulldozed through them. While others polished their sound for radio play, Motörhead doubled down on distortion and velocity. Lemmy's philosophy was brutally simple. Play it loud, play it fast, and never apologize. Halford connects with that ethos on a visceral level. Heavy metal, at its core, is about liberation. It is about stepping outside polite boundaries and embracing raw emotion. Motörhead embodied that freedom with unapologetic force. Fans often crave a definitive answer, a clear winner to crown in this imagined showdown. Yet Halford's wisdom lies in reframing the narrative. Instead of asking which band is superior, he invites listeners to consider what each band represents. AC/DC is the thunderous groove that unites massive crowds in a single chant. Motörhead is the adrenaline spike that fuels the underground and inspires the next wave of speed-obsessed musicians. Both energies are necessary. Both energies are authentic. Halford's own journey mirrors this duality. Judas Priest's crafted, melodic hooks, powerful enough for mainstream recognition, while simultaneously pushing tempos and vocal extremes that influenced That balancing act allows Halford to appreciate AC/DC's arena dominance and Motörhead's underground grit without contradiction. He understands that heavy music thrives on diversity within intensity. It is not a monolith. It is a spectrum of aggression, melody, rebellion, and rhythm. There is also an emotional layer that cannot be ignored. The passing of Lemmy marked the end of an era, a reminder that legends are mortal even when their music feels eternal. Halford has spoken with deep respect about Lemmy's authenticity and unwavering dedication to his craft. That respect is not rooted in nostalgia alone. It is rooted in shared experience. In nights spent on tour buses and stages where volume erased every doubt, AC/DC too faced loss and adversity, yet they returned, proving that the spirit of rock can survive even the harshest blows. Halford recognizes courage in both stories. For viewers, the magnetism of this discussion lies in its humanity. These are not abstract icons frozen in time. They are musicians who sacrificed comfort for creativity, who endured exhaustion for the thrill of performance. When Halford discusses AC/DC's groove or Motörhead's ferocity, he is speaking about lived moments, about standing side stage and feeling the physical force of their sound waves. That authenticity translates on camera. It keeps audiences engaged because it feels real. In many ways, the debate becomes a celebration rather than a competition. AC/DC's catalog offers timeless sing-along choruses that echo across generations. Motörhead's catalog offers relentless tracks that still sound dangerous decades later. Halford refuses to diminish one to elevate the other. Instead, he frames them as complementary legends whose coexistence enriched the entire genre. Without AC/DC, the stadium might feel smaller. Without Motörhead, the underground might feel tamer. Together, they expanded the boundaries of what heavy music could achieve. As the script reaches its climax, the energy intensifies, not through confrontation, but through acknowledgement. Rob Halford stands as a bridge between eras, a witness to the evolution of metal from smoky clubs to global domination. His perspective carries gravitas because he earned it, note by note, screen by screen. When he speaks about AC/DC or Motörhead, he speaks as a peer, not an outsider. That distinction elevates every word. Ultimately, the power of this narrative lies in unity. The rock world thrives on passion, on debates that spark fire in comments sections and conversations alike. Yet beneath that fire is shared admiration. AC/DC and Motörhead, each lit torches that continue to burn brightly. Halford's reflections remind viewers that heavy metal is not about dividing loyalties but about amplifying appreciation. It is about turning the volume up on history and feeling the pulse of legends who changed everything.